We live in a world where everything feels urgent. People rush to arrive, hurry to respond, pressure themselves to achieve. There's a restlessness that has almost become second nature, as if our worth is only recognized when we're doing, producing, running after something. But what if there were another path? A lighter, deeper way where nothing needs to be forced in order to blossom, where trust becomes more important than control, where peace is not a consequence but a starting point. In this script, we'll dive into 10 Buddhist teachings that reveal the quiet power of letting go, of living with surrender and awareness, not as a form of giving up, but as a return to our own essence. The restless mind often leads us to try to shape everything around us, people's feelings, the outcomes of our decisions, the timing of life. We think that if we don't hold on tightly, everything will slip away. And indeed it does, but not for lack of effort. It escapes because it was never meant to be held by force. There is wisdom in letting go, in observing without grasping, in moving without needing to control every step. The first Buddhist teaching that brings us to this state of presence is trust in life. Not the passive kind of trust that expects everything to fix itself without any effort, but an active trust, one that walks hand in hand with mindfulness and inner clarity. When we trust, we breathe more deeply, our bodies soften, and the soul finds room to rest. Attempts to control often stem from fear. Fear that something will go wrong, that life will deviate from our script, that tomorrow brings uncertainty. But what we call control is rarely real. It's more of an attempt to calm anxiety than a genuine act. Life moves to its own rhythm, and there's beauty in that. Imagine a seed. No matter how much you want it, it won't sprout before its time. You can water it, care for the soil, but you can't rush the natural cycle. Forcing is like trying to make a flower bud open with your fingers. You might manage it, but you ruin the beauty, harm the process. The second Buddhist teaching speaks to this, respecting the timing of things, trusting that what is meant to be will come, not before, not after, but exactly when it's needed. And this isn't an invitation to inaction, but to conscious action, to do our part with dedication and release the outcome. In this release, there is deep power. When we let go of the need to shape everything into our image, we create space for the new to enter. The third Buddhist teaching, then, is about lightness in action. The world teaches us to run, to do more, to compete. But Buddhism, along with other wisdom traditions, reminds us that true transformation is born from presence. It's not the amount of effort that defines the worth of the path, but the quality of intention. Acting with lightness is acting with wisdom. It means knowing that we can do things deeply even in silence. It's watering a plant with care, listening to someone with an open heart, cooking while savoring each scent. When we are fully present in what we do, even the simplest tasks become sacred paths. This lightness walks hand in hand with patience. The fourth Buddhist teaching that arises on this journey is serenity in the face of time. The now doesn't always bring answers. Sometimes it invites us to pause, to breathe, to wait. Patience isn't passivity, it's trust in motion. It's knowing that even when nothing seems to be happening, something is being prepared, inside, outside, in the unseen. A flower that hasn't bloomed yet is still doing deep work in its roots. Transformation doesn't shout, it whispers. And to hear it, we must be still. This kind of patience is cultivated like one tends a garden, with constancy, with care, with eyes open to what hasn't blossomed yet. Finally, in this first block, we reach one of the most challenging and liberating Buddhist teachings, releasing attachment. Attachment creates heaviness. We want to keep close what comforts us, even when it no longer serves us. We cling to old ideas, old hurts, identities that no longer reflect who we are. And in that clinging, we fail to see that we are closing the door to the new. Letting go of attachment is not abandonment. It's honoring life's cycles. It's allowing what needs to leave to go, and trusting that what is real will remain, that what is truly yours will find its way back, if it is meant to. Non-attachment isn't coldness, it's freedom. It's opening your hands to receive life as it comes, with its surprises, its turns, its hidden blessings. These 5 Buddhist teachings, trust, respecting time, acting with lightness, cultivating patience, and letting go of attachment, are just the beginning of a journey back to the self. It's a path that invites us to step out of constant struggle and into a state of presence, where life doesn't need to be forced, only felt. And you? Have you ever found yourself holding on too tightly to something that needed to go? Have you ever feared letting go, even when your heart knew it was time? Reflect on that as we move together into the next block, where we'll explore how nature teaches us to live without hurry, how emptiness can be a space of nourishment, and why trusting the flow might be the most powerful shift of all. When we pause long enough to observe the natural world, we begin to see a rhythm that is both ancient and timeless. The sun does not rise in haste, the seasons do not rush their turn, and even the smallest flower takes its time to bloom. Nature teaches us something profoundly important. Everything has its own time and nothing is hurried. This brings us to the sixth Buddhist teaching, learning from the rhythm of nature. In our daily lives, we often feel the urge to accelerate, to force progress, to demand instant answers. But when we align ourselves with the pace of the natural world, we begin to understand that true growth is quiet, subtle, and never rushed. Just like a river that curves around stones without resistance, we too can learn to move with grace even in the presence of obstacles. The strength of nature lies not in its speed, but in its consistency and its surrender to flow. This surrender invites us into an experience of emptiness, which leads us to the seventh Buddhist teaching, welcoming the space within. Often misunderstood, emptiness is not a void of meaning, but a clearing of the clutter. We live surrounded by noise, not just external but internal. Old beliefs, unresolved feelings, habitual worries. And as long as our inner cup is full of yesterday, there's no room for today. Emptiness, in this sacred sense, is a state of openness. It is the fertile ground where peace can grow. It's the silent room where new insights enter. When we stop filling every moment with distractions, when we pause to breathe and simply be, we discover a presence that was hidden beneath all the noise. And in that presence there's a quiet joy, the kind that doesn't depend on external circumstances, but on a settled heart. From this space of openness, we are naturally led into the eighth Buddhist teaching, trusting the current of life. So many times we find ourselves swimming upstream, resisting what is, wishing things were different. But life, like a river, has its own direction. And when we stop fighting against it, we are carried to places more beautiful than we imagined. Trusting the flow doesn't mean being passive. It means tuning in, listening, feeling when it's time to act and when it's time to wait. It's knowing that even the detours have purpose, that even the unexpected can become sacred. When we allow the river of life to guide us, we are no longer exhausted from trying to steer every wave. We become travelers instead of controllers. There's peace in that shift, a peace that doesn't need to know every answer, but that knows how to keep moving with grace. At this point, it might feel like a lot to take in, and that's okay. This is a journey, not a race. If this message has reached your heart in any way, I invite you to stay close. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet. Not because algorithms say it helps, but because this space is meant to be shared. Shared not only with your eyes and ears, but with your reflections, your emotions, your silence. If something in this video has touched you, consider sharing your thoughts below. Maybe someone else needs to read what you felt. Maybe your words will be the light in someone's pause. And if you feel called to send this video to someone, do it as a gesture of care, not as a click, but as a moment of connection. Let's move now to the ninth Buddhist teaching, the power of surrender. Surrender is often misunderstood as defeat, but in truth it is a sign of inner strength. To surrender means to stop resisting the present. It's accepting what is, without bitterness or blame. It's saying, this is where I am, and that's okay. In surrender, we stop trying to control outcomes and start participating more honestly with life. We respond instead of react. We soften instead of tighten. And through this softening, healing begins. Surrender doesn't mean giving up effort. It means giving up the struggle against what is already here. In this peaceful alignment with the present moment, we reclaim our energy. We find ourselves again, not in the noise of ambition, but in the clarity of simply being. These teachings are not abstract ideas. They are practices, ways of seeing, of breathing, of choosing. The more we return to them, the more we notice that life feels less heavy, not because it becomes easier, but because we are no longer carrying everything alone. In the final block, we'll arrive at the 10th and closing Buddhist teaching, a reminder that what is truly ours will always find its way. And together, we'll complete this journey with gentleness and gratitude. There is something beautifully reassuring in the idea that what is meant for us will come, not through force but through alignment. And this is the heart of the 10th and final Buddhist teaching in our journey. What is yours will know the way. We spend so much of our lives chasing people, chasing outcomes, chasing versions of ourselves that we think will finally make us feel whole. But Buddhism invites us to approach life differently. Instead of running, it invites us to become still. Instead of grasping, it invites us to open. When we live from that space of trust, we begin to notice something quietly magical. What is true, what is real, what deeply resonates with our essence. It doesn't require effort to arrive. It recognizes us just as we recognize it. This doesn't mean we won't face challenges or losses. In fact, many of the most important arrivals in our life only come after something else has left. A job, a relationship, a dream we once held. It's not easy to let go of what we believed was meant to stay. But so often, that space is needed for something more aligned to emerge. When we believe that what is truly meant for us cannot be taken or missed, we start to rest a little more in the now. We breathe easier. We stop trying to bend every moment to our will. We learn to wait, not with desperation, but with peace. Because waiting is no longer about lacking, it becomes a quiet preparation for the right moment. This idea that life is always guiding us, not in loud declarations but in subtle nudges, encourages us to live with greater awareness. It becomes a gentle call to presence. Be here now and trust that what's yours won't pass you by. Some things may return, others may not. But in every unfolding, there is purpose. In every closing door, a redirection. In every unexpected silence, a space where new life is being woven. If you've ever looked back and thought, I didn't understand it then, but now it all makes sense, then you felt this teaching in your bones. Wisdom often arrives late, but it always arrives. As we bring this journey to a close, allow yourself a moment to pause. Let all these teachings settle in your heart, not as rules or expectations, but as invitations. Invitations to live with more gentleness, more clarity, more presence. Perhaps some part of this spoke directly to something you've been carrying. If so, allow it to soften. Let go of the tightness. Breathe into the space that's been created. If you've walked with me through all these blocks, know that your presence has added something sacred to this message. I invite you, if you haven't already, to become part of this space by subscribing to the channel. Not because it's a button to click, but because it's a way of saying this message matters to me. I want to stay connected. And if at any point during this journey, a thought or emotion stirred something in you, I'd love to hear about it. Leave a comment, not as feedback, but as your own expression. And if you feel called, share this with someone you care about. You never know whose day it might brighten, whose heart it might touch. Let this be more than just a video. Let it be a moment of reflection, a reminder, a quiet turning point. The teachings we've explored, bounding from trust and patience to surrender and presence, are not ends in themselves. They are paths back to you, and you deserve to walk that path in peace. Thank you for being here, for your attention, your openness, your willingness to pause. Until next time, may you walk lightly, live deeply, and trust that everything you seek is already finding its way to you. Let's take a breath here, a real breath. Not the shallow inhale we take between tasks, but one that moves through your entire being. Feel that. That's presence. That's what these teachings invite us into, again and again. And in this fourth block, we go deeper, beyond the ideas of trust and surrender, into the living experience of awareness itself. Because knowing is one thing, living is another. The next teaching isn't about something you do, it's about something you notice. And what you begin to notice when your mind quiets even just a little is that peace was never far. It's been underneath the noise all along. The 11th Buddhist insight, if we may extend our journey just a little, is that stillness speaks, not in words, but in clarity. And when you start listening, really listening, to that inner stillness, life begins to respond in subtle but powerful ways. You begin to hear what your body has been trying to tell you. You begin to see people not as problems to solve, but as souls walking alongside you. You notice light falling on leaves, the breeze brushing your skin. These are not poetic flourishes. They are reminders that the sacred is in the ordinary. This leads us to the next essential truth. Inner alignment is stronger than outer pressure. In a world obsessed with performance, speed, and visibility, living from the inside out is revolutionary and deeply healing. Many of us are taught to ignore our inner knowing in favor of outer expectations, but Buddhism encourages us to realign, not by becoming someone else, but by returning to what has always been quietly true within us. The 12th teaching is this: your path is not measured by applause but by authenticity. When you are aligned with your values, your pace, your presence, life supports you in ways that applause never could. And that support, while subtle, is unshakable. Now pause again. Place your hand over your heart if it feels right. Just notice what's here. Maybe a feeling, maybe a memory, maybe just silence. Whatever it is, welcome it. This simple act, turning inward with gentleness, is itself a teaching. A reminder that the journey is not towards something outside of you. It's a return, a remembering. The more we practice returning, the easier it becomes to stay. The 13th teaching, then, is this: presence is the most radical form of healing. When you show up fully for this moment, you meet life not as an enemy to conquer, but as a companion to walk with. You begin to live not from fear, but from openness, not from urgency, but from trust. As we near the end of this journey, know that you don't need to hold all these teachings at once. Let them move through you like water. Some will land deeply now, others may blossom later. What matters most is your willingness to listen, to reflect, to let these words meet you where you are. That's enough, more than enough. So here we are, the closing steps of this path we've walked together. By now, perhaps you've noticed that none of these Buddhist teachings were meant to change you into someone else. They were never rules, never demands. They were quiet invitations to come home to yourself. And that is where we end, or rather, where we begin again, with the final and perhaps most tender reminder: you are already enough as you are. The 14th and closing insight is simple yet powerful. Nothing needs to be added for you to be whole. So often we believe that peace, joy, or love are things we must earn, chase, or prove ourselves worthy of. But the essence of the Buddhist path whispers something different. Those things are not outside you. They are already here, simply waiting for you to notice. Waiting behind the curtain of fear, beneath the layers of self-doubt, underneath the stories you've been told about what you need to become. When we stop trying to fix ourselves and start meeting ourselves with compassion, something shifts, something softens. And in that softening, we begin to live with more truth. To live from this place doesn't mean all struggle disappears. Life will still stretch us, challenge us, surprise us. But now, we meet life differently. We meet it with the presence we've practiced, with the gentleness we've cultivated, with the spaciousness we've created inside. We begin to notice that our reactions are slower, our breath is deeper, our steps more grounded. We speak with more care, we listen with more openness, we trust with less resistance. These aren't just signs of change, they are signs of return, of returning to what was never broken to begin with. Let this be your quiet reminder. You don't need to force, to rush, to outperform. You can rest, you can trust. You can allow yourself to be here, exactly as you are, and that will be enough. Life is not asking you to be more. It is offering you the chance to be fully present with what already is. That's where the transformation lives. So if this journey spoke to you, if even one sentence echoed something your heart already knew, I want to thank you for staying, for feeling, for listening. You made space for yourself in a world that constantly pulls us outward. That matters. And if you'd like to continue walking together, I gently invite you to subscribe to the channel, not out of habit or obligation, but as a way of saying, this nourished me. I want to return to this space. Your presence here matters. It creates a ripple, a quiet one, but ripples still reach far. And if you feel moved to share what this experience meant to you, the comments below are not just a space for words, they are a space for connection. Say what feels true. Say what feels real. Someone else may be waiting to hear exactly what you're ready to say. Let this be more than a video. Let it be a shared breath between hearts. As we part ways for now, remember this: You are not behind. You are not late. You are not lost. You are exactly where you need to be. And the next step will reveal itself quietly and clearly, just as all wise things do. Be gentle with yourself. Walk slowly. Trust that everything meaningful comes not by force, but by presence. Thank you deeply. May you be well. May you feel safe. May you know peace. Until we meet again.